Do you know that Widows and this year's comedy Game Night have something really adorable in common? They both feature the same little dog. And Widows definitely needs him because it's a brutal and scary film.
Who are we when this world's got you down on your knees?
Servus Freunde, my name's Jimmy Cage and Widows has easily one of this year's strongest beginnings. The very first shot shows us a loving married couple kissing each other in bed, only to brutally cut to an action-packed chase scene. We then go to another couple and again back to the chase. This happens again and again until we see how that action set piece, which must be the end result of a heist gone horribly wrong, finally ends up. We get both, the action and the drama, the violence and the emotions. This is Widows and it's an impressive mixture of blockbuster entertainment and character-heavy drama. It's a modern film noir, a crime drama in the vein of Michael Mann's Heat. It's the newest film by British director Steve McQueen, 5 years after his Oscar-winning 12 Years a Slave. He also co-wrote the film together with Gillian Flynn, who's the author of Gone Girl. Widows is based on a British miniseries of the same name from 1983, and it tells the story of a small group of women whose husbands died during their last heist. They weren't friends before, they have actually very little in common, but they come together to pull something off no one would believe they are capable of. But Widows isn't a light-hearted heist movie affair like Ocean's 11 or the recent all-women version Ocean's 8. The heist they are planning and then attempting is what drives the film, but Widows has more layers to offer and it can't be reduced to a mere crime thriller. Not that that would be something to frown upon, but this is a film that has great characters and a lot of extremely timely topics it's dealing with. At its helm is Viola Davis. She plays Veronica, whose husband Harry Rawlings, played by Liam Neeson, was the head of a very lucrative group of criminals. Now that their last job went horribly wrong, Jamal Manning, played by Brian Tyree Henry, is coming after Victoria because the last job of her late husband was stealing $2 million from him. And Manning isn't just any crime lord, he's also running for election, being the adversary to Colin Farrell's character Jack Mulligan, whose family has been in politics and running the neighborhoods for generations. His father, Tom Mulligan, is played by none other than Robert Duvall, and like I said, Widows is very timely, so much so that it was bordering on being too obvious and direct. Some of its most prominent social and political commentaries felt rather heavy-handed to me, but it's also true that those moments are indeed a very reality in America, so I'm not sure if my critique is that valid. I'm only saying that moments like Duvall's character openly stating their egotistical, racist agenda felt a bit cheap. Those little things stood out to me, but they never really diminished the film as a whole. Steve McQueen is a filmmaker who likes to explore extreme facets of the human nature, and while Widows is the most mainstream of his 4 feature films, it nonetheless delves into heavy topics. To put a grieving widow front and center in a genre that usually doesn't let much room for deep emotions is something great to begin with. The film has some lighter moments as well, but overall it's pretty heavy. It's also pretty heavy when it comes to the sheer star power McQueen is able to gather. Alongside the ones already mentioned, the other 3 main women are played by Michelle Rodriguez, Elizabeth Debicki and Cynthia Erivo. I'm usually not the biggest fan of Rodriguez, but here her rough nature and no-shit attitude, combined with her responsibility as a mother, came to full fruition. Debicki, who I knew from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and her brief role in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, gave probably my favorite performance in the whole film, and her shift from being someone who gets pushed around to empower herself and coming up with clever ideas how to help the group was great to watch. And with her impressive physical stature, she's also fascinating on screen from a pure visual standpoint. Cynthia Erivo, who just gave a breakout performance in Drew Goddard's Bad Times at the El Royale, comes a little bit later into the narrative, but her screen time is enough to establish another powerhouse character. While Widows clearly focuses on this group of complicated, realistic women, it also shifts the perspective to its other characters quite often, and in this regard it reminded me a little bit of something like the crime series The Wire, where different social spheres came together as well: politics, corruption, race, religion, crime and so on. And whenever we cut to Jamal Manning's brother and soldier Jatemi, played by Get Out lead Daniel Kaluuya, the movie tends to get really brutal, and there are 2 scenes in particular that are quite unforgettable and should belong in the pantheon of violent film noir outbursts. When it comes to the film's tense moments, you can also count on Hans Zimmer's score, that's reminiscent of his work for Christopher Nolan. The heist itself is decent and it doesn't want to be the super ingenious master plan. The very ending is almost a bit anticlimactic, but I thought it fit the more grounded reality of the film. I would possibly have liked another incredibly gut-punchy action or chase sequence like the brief moments at the beginning, but it was a satisfying ending nevertheless. So in German I'd say, Steve McQueens Widows ist ein starkes Crime-Drama, bis zum Bersten gefüllt mit großartigen Schauspielern und Schauspielerinnen, das gekonnt zwischen den unterschiedlichen Perspektiven hin und her wechselt und dabei frisch und gleichzeitig auch klassisch wirkt. Außerdem ist er ganz klar im Hier und Jetzt verankert, auch wenn manche seiner deutlichsten Darstellungen etwas plakativ auf mich gewirkt haben. I give Widows 8 out of 10. It's more like 7.8, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Widows. And also let me know what is your favorite film by Steve McQueen. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.